Hello, everyone. I'm Mary Perperny from LA Music, and I'm here with Mr. Masterbuilder Dale Wilson from the Fender Custom Shop Division, and we're really happy to have him here. And maybe we could ask you some personal stories, and
That'd be great.
give us a little taste of what it is to be part of the Fender family, and how did you get there?
Gosh, I worked for previous guitar companies, Dobro, Rickenbacker. Always had my eye on Fender. I have applied for Fender I think 3 times when I was working for Dobro and Rickenbacker, but they had enough people, so I didn't get in. And I was working for Rickenbacker at the time, and a buddy of mine who worked for another company, Jackson, told me they have openings. So I ran down there.
Made sure you got in?
They hooked me up with one of the HR ladies,
Okay.
and got me in. So
Wonderful, wonderful. And it's been uphill since then.
it has, yes.
So,
Been very cool.
for most that do not know what a custom master build is, can you elaborate from a regular Fender Strat to a master build? What would be the differences?
A regular Fender Strat is it's made by there's quite a few hands on a given Strat or a given guitar. So it goes through the whole factory process. There's a lot more that's done on machines, CNC machines, and a lot less hands-on work. They still come out amazingly great, but there's just less hands-on
So
work.
your guitars are your hands on that guitar?
Correct.
And from top to bottom? Like
Correct,
here?
yes,
Yeah?
from
So-
top to bottom. So from like a American-made standpoint, there's a lot of hands on that guitar, on any given guitar. And then from our team-built custom division in the custom shop, there's far less hands on those guitars. So, and those people are very highly skilled.
That's why
And
it
then-
takes a long time for you to build.
That's true, yeah.
And
that's
how
true.
long would you say you take on the average? Custom?
It's usually, once I get the guitar going, it's usually around a 3-month period of time.
And
It's for allowing the paint to dry also. So it goes from the woodworking aspect of it to through paint and buff.
Okay.
So.
so it is a lot longer than the factory. And I was lucky enough to visit the factory last year, so I have an idea, but I didn't realize myself, and maybe you can explain, like all the nuts and bolts and the tail pieces, everything is made there, right? Fender
Everything
makes
is, yeah.
in that
Everything's
factory.
made there, yeah.
Like-
This bridge right here was made at the factory.
It's all USA made by the local.
And most by the same machinery that made those vintage guitars, which is, a lot of people don't know that, and they're pretty surprised to find that out. But
I was shocked. So
yeah.
how old? I know there are some beastly looking machines back there. They're massive. How old are some of those? Machines?
It's like I would just be guessing actually, but they're
Like
they're
in the
very
50s?
old. Oh yeah, from the 50s.
From
yeah.
the 50s and still going strong.
Yeah.
That's great. So, what about if you can brag a little bit? Who did you make guitars? I know you've made some guitars for some awesome people.
Yeah.
Famous rock stars.
I've been fortunate to make guitars for for Sheryl Crow, and for John Five. Made a couple for him, which is
Okay.
very cool. I've done some custom work recently for Billy Duffy, which was pretty fun.
Cool.
That was really cool. He's a really cool guy.
Oh, nice.
And Mike Campbell from Tom Petty. So,
Excellent.
yeah.
And when can you share some of your experience? Is there like a favorite guitar that you ever worked on, whether it's a rock star or not, or just a favorite guitar in general that?
Yeah,
That you've
that's
built
a
or
tough
you've
one
worked
because
on?
everyone's kind of like my little. It's like saying, do you have a favorite child?
They're all
You
your
know what I mean?
babies.
They're all my babies, and I like them all. The TV yellow
The yellow.
telly that I did,
Yeah.
I think that was pretty cool. Had a P90 in the front, and painted a suite like a TV yellow that had aged. So
Okay.
kind of my favorite.
Yeah, I noticed this is one of your masterpieces here. This is such a beautiful beautiful top on it.
Yeah.
The Buckeye
Buckeye Burl.
Burl. And you've got to see this guitar. It's just
And
more
the back
beautiful.
the body is actually a lightly flamed ash, which is really unique and kind of hard to come by. I have to go through. You can actually see it right here, the flames on the side. I have to go through pallets of ash to find that. It's stuff that isn't set aside. It's almost like an anomaly, and like I said, hard to find. And it's lightweight.
It's not too heavy actually for that. Yeah, the graining on it is really, really beautiful. The beautiful flame.
The Buckeye is like one of a kind. I mean, that each top is, even if it's from the same piece, it changes, as you resaw it. So it's every one is one of a
So
kind.
everyone is unique. You will not get another one that
Yeah,
looks like this
like a
one.
fingerprint.
This one is stunning. It's got beautiful little eyes in there and a little bit of golding. And I noticed the pickups are not
The standard
standards. Yeah.
Fender.
So what was your idea on that?
I did that because I wanted as much of the top to be exposed as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to put a pickguard on that. That would have been a crime. And I wanted to beef up the tone a little bit, give it a, kind of a beefier tone. So.
Yeah, with the nice chrome and
Yeah.
the chrome on chrome, it's really, really attractive. So you find that these pickups give it a little bit more.
Yeah, a
little
little
bit
more
thicker.
Yeah, a
Little
little bit
thicker.
more girth, I guess.
This is gorgeous. And then
Thank you.
I also really like this other one that we have the privilege of having in our store. And this is Caribbean. It's a beautiful Caribbean quilt.
Yep.
And can you talk about, like, this quilt is going right up to the top of the horn.
Yeah, that was a piece that us master builders, will go out in the morning and we'll try to find unique pieces of wood, or as soon as the pallet comes in, we're on it, try to see if we can find
Scavengers.
And I got that one.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to get that one, and it was just a beautiful piece that, as soon as I saw it, before it was even resawed, I could tell that I could make it so that it actually curled up into that upper
And
horn.
even here, people
Yes.
can't see it, but you've got this beautiful pearl pick guard,
Yeah.
which suits the blue
Yeah.
beautifully. But I can see that the quilting comes all the
It
way
does, yeah. It was a shame to cover that. But,
so it's
yeah.
covered, but it's really really a shame. And then again, a beautiful clear back and a highly figured bird's eye maple.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. And
So-
big old fat bird's eyes. I like fat bird's eyes.
Yeah, this is beautiful. This is like probably my favorite right here.
Thank you.
And I love how it's figured all the way, like the top of the headstock
Yeah.
is just as figured
Oh,
as,
yeah.
as the back.
Yes.
It's even right through and through. And of course, we've got your signature on here.
Yes.
So I guess that's
What an honor to be able to have that, actually. It's
So this is,
always amazes me.
so when someone wants to know if it's your work, they will see your name
Yeah,
on the back.
on the back.
And if it doesn't have Dale's name, it's
It's
not a
Dale's.
Dale original.
Well, I did a couple as an apprentice and on that first NAMM show,
Mm-hmm.
and they just had me sign the back because they didn't know if I was up to snuff or not at that point. But once those sold, they were like, yeah, you can.
So the NAMM show was a turning point.
It was, yeah.
Was a turning.
There's a couple out there.
Now you've got a beautiful telly right there.
Yes.
Maybe before you dig into that one, can I ask you, relics and traditional, like unique, custom, fancy tops, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
I always have been attracted to the beautiful finishes and
Yeah.
that pristine look. And then you have your own bumps and warts later.
Yeah.
But now there's a trend, and how is that going about? Like, how do you get this to look so aged and yet be so modern and up to today's technology?
I think a lot of players out there want a vintage guitar that's aged, but they can't afford a guitar for $23,000 or whatever. So this is the next best thing, and we work really hard to recreate the look of an old guitar, and it's been all the rage for years now, and for me, if I'm looking through a guitar book and I see an old guitar, it's as beautiful to me as a beautiful top, because the original ones, the old guitars, it's just like, how did that get like that? If that guitar could talk, what,
yeah.
and
Has
so
a story.
yeah, and so we try to recreate that as much as possible.
So you're trying to recapture a little bit of the past and bring it to the present for the
Yeah.
new generation. Is that sort of?
It's kind of like that, yeah. People who want an older looking guitar without paying, extreme
Without pay-
prices. Yeah.
So really, the relics are more money because there's more work, more detail.
There's a lot more work into them.
Okay,
Yeah.
like how do you get it looking?
It's just it's like each of us have our own techniques that we're always working on and striving to make better. So it's
So
one of
these
those
are like
things.
secret things that you don't want to share.
Kind of like that, yeah. I think there's a lot of other builders out there now that are copying that, and it's like to say, "Oh, well, this is how you do this, and this
Dave
is how
can
you
do
do that."
it. Dale can do
Yeah,
it. I
yeah,
can do this.
yeah. This, if you see this right here, it's like, it's green, and
It's corroded.
It's
yeah.
corroded and green, and it
corroded.
wasn't easy to do that. It was a lot of work. I mean, I'd say I spent about an hour at least, or hour and a half, getting it to look just without anything else on this, getting it to look green.
And
So,
then the sound, of course, is
the sound is these are awesome. There's nothing like a Telecaster, nothing like a bridge Telecaster pickup, or even the neck.
So-
they just are one of a kind.
so if someone sees
That's why
one-
everybody copies these things.
Yeah,
like,
it's not a beat up. Let me get a deal on this. This is like, no, this is actually more work,
Yeah.
more time, more
Yeah.
passion to recreate the past
yes, exactly.
for the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. And this one here, does it also have your signature on
It
the
does,
back?
yeah.
Okay, so that's how people know that that's a real McCoy.
Yeah,
And it's got your stamp of approval back there.
yeah.
And what year is that?
This would be a 1959. It's a Lake Placid blue, and this is what I consider to be a heavy relic.
Okay.
So there's heavier relics out there, but for my taste, going further than this is pretty extreme. You'd have
Yeah.
to really be beaten on your guitar, I think.
Yeah. Do you do like belt buckle rashes? and
Belt
stuff
buckle
like that?
rashes, like
Yeah.
marks from the belt buckle, or just wear from just always wearing on somebody's buttons or shirts, or big belt buckles or whatever. But even I have files and files on my computer of actual old guitars,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm so in love with the look of old guitars, and like I said, the stories they could tell or whatever.
Yeah.
And sometimes, almost all the paint's off of the back.
The colors, like, is this something like a color that you came up with, or is this a Fender?
No, this is a vintage Fender color.
It's a vintage Fender
Yeah.
color. Now, if somebody wanted to order a guitar custom and they wanted to do it, pink, let's say, just for they could have a vintage pink
They could have
Telecaster or
yeah.
Stratocaster. And how does that process? Walk us through what would be involved in the timeline, and how would you work with?
Well, they would come into your store and they would say, "This is what I want. I want a shell pink Strat, with a green, black, green pickguard," and they would say it was a shell pink, or if it was a custom color, like something that they grew up with or whatever.
Okay.
They would specify that all to you, and then of course you order it through us, and then with the Masterbuild, they have the decision, they have the option of us contacting them, and it goes as far as they can send us a swatch so that we match that color
The
that they
color,
want.
and
Yeah.
if they want chrome or gold
Yes,
machine heads, a gold plate,
exactly.
tailpiece, they could actually
They could have
say what.
I love Johnny inscribed back here, or
Okay.
whatever they
or
want.
their
really.
initials on the neck, or
Yeah.
anything that their fantasy can make them think about. You could.
There was actually a
Yeah.
shell pink that I had done, a Stratocaster, and on the back, the guy had me like carve a heart
Oh,
with an arrow through it, and write "I love Joe" with like like as it had been carved into a tree stump or something like that.
Incredible.
So, yeah.
So basically, whatever a guitar enthusiast would like is possible.
Yeah.
Just a little time
Yep.
and a little bit of coordinating between one of our sales reps here and Fender Custom Shop. It can all be put together.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Whatever,
Wonderful.
whatever they want.
And I know you've been, because you're one of 8, there's not
Yes.
that many.
Yeah.
So you've been around the world. Can you tell us some experience, something that stays in your mind from one of your
God.
travels?
You know, it's just, I don't know, I feel so fortunate to have traveled around. I never thought that was going to happen to me, that I'd, you know, even be out of the country, let alone, you know, go to Europe or you know, Japan or whatever. And it's always just great to come to events like this and meet people that are just as passionate about instruments. I mean, it's
You
a
can
high.
tell we have
It's
a
so
passion
cool.
for guitars
Oh,
here.
totally. Yeah, you guys got quite a
How
setup
do we fare?
here.
How do we fare?
You
with
fare in an awesome way. I mean,
All
it's
right.
just great. You guys got such a great stock and a great variety too. You know.
Yeah, we're always looking for the latest and the greatest.
Anything anybody could want, they could just come in here and or even order it. You know.
And order. Now that's the new thing, is that there's this new opportunity to make it truly your own idea and your own color or whatever it is that makes it special for the person. So what kind of tips can you give to the young guitar enthusiasts or guitar builders? They're all watching out there.
Work on guitars. Just keep on working on guitars. Maybe go to a school, but you know, work on friends' guitars, your own guitars. You know, just get in, just dive in and just start doing it. I am just because of where I lived and everything, and the breaks that I've had. It's just been I've been very fortunate. So
you just started off never thinking one day you were going to be a master?
Not at all. Just a total passion for the instrument. Not at all.
That's wonderful. So there's hope for all the young ones out there, and
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
someone that's been thinking of it as a hobby, maybe they can turn it around.
It's fun.
Get
I'd
a
be
lot
doing
fun.
it if I wasn't a builder, if I wasn't at Fender, I would still be doing it. I mean, once it gets in your blood, it's there.
You need to do it.
Yeah.
So this is great. And I know tonight we're going to have a little special event,
Yes.
and you're going to give a lot of tips and tricks.
I'm going to give as many as I possibly can. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
you're
Going to
gonna
rip
keep-
this apart and roll the fretboard on this and sand out the frets, buff the frets, put it all back together, set it up, and
So you're going to give whoever can make it. We'll see a live actual. What would we call this, Dale? You're going to take it apart.
assembly of a guitar. Yeah.
So you're going to unassemble it,
Unassemble it
and reassemble it.
Reassemble it. Yeah.
So we're going to put it back, take it all apart and put it back to this wonderful condition again. So if you want to make sure that you're here this evening between 6 and 9 and meet Dale, of course,
That'd be awesome.
but steal his tricks. You want to be here, steal a lot of tricks.
Get what you can.
And see if you can do this yourself. But all kidding aside, it's been wonderful
Thank you.
having this time with you. I'm so honored and pleasure
Thank
to
you.
meet you. I've met you. I saw your little booth there at
Yeah.
the custom shop. It's amazing how small a space that they actually work with. I've
Yeah.
had the privilege to see it, and people cannot imagine the wonderful work this man does in such a confined space.
And the whole shop it's a
And-
very small shop. I mean, the custom shop is
It's small,
yeah.
and everything is like everybody's little section is so unique.
Yeah.
It's really, really, it was really a treat, an eye-opener for me.
Yeah.
And I always had a passion for guitars, but I think that trip just kind of double-dosed me.
Awesome. That's great.
So thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
And hopefully we'll see lots of you out here tonight
Yes.
and meet Dale and his fabulous guitars. Thank you.